Also, the fact that PSG are now finalising a deal for someone who would probably play in Bradley Barcola's position does maybe smooth things a little bit. Obviously, they're going to maintain the position that they do not want to move on from the player. They want to keep the player. They blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? They're going to do that, because why would you get rid of the value? Oh yeah, of course, let's get rid of one of our, in inverted commas, best players for, in inverted commas, a low price. We don't need to do that if we're PSG. And we know that at Liverpool, we've held out for higher prices before. We've held out for players to be come and taken. That's the case here with Bradley Barcola. They can sit on him if they want to. Of course, if his value goes down again next summer, then that would obviously be painful for them, but I don't think they're in all that much of a difficult position. They're PSG, they're champions of Liga, they're in a position where they don't really need to get rid of the guy. And we know that there is hidden value in there. We know that with the player wanting to come to the club, with the player kind of going to push, at least softly, if not in the end, in quite a hard way, to leave and to make a case for him being, you know, one of the better players, if not one of the best French players in Europe. He needs to come and play. I think that a lot of people at the moment are talking about him blocking off people's pathways. We have probably 3 or 4 left-sided players right now in HIJACK, Gakpo, Ungamoa. You could even argue Florian Wirtz. I think us going for Barcola shows that we're looking to play Wirtz as a 10. And I think it shows that we're looking to put Rio Ungamoa out on the right, or at least rotate through multiple positions, try to confuse the opposition. It's an exciting time. Where will we see Bradley Barcola play? Will he relieve some of that pressure on HIJACK? All of the charts, all of the people stacking things up, you know, putting those little webs out there, and the charts of wary charts in terms of chances created, and, you know, all these different opportunities. Barcola ranks very well in those areas. It's why we value him so highly. It's why we've chased him for such a long time. I think it's why we think we still see hidden value in Bradley Barcola. Even if it's a very big headline that we're going to go get him, there will still be hidden elements of his game that Liverpool will want to make the most of. And that, for me, is the key to this. 100 million, 140, whatever you want to call it. If we see the value, if we think that there is a player in there that we can extract that 100 million from, take him. I think it shows where the market is at the moment. I think it shows that, you know, Anderson and all these young players. By the way, Barcola's only 23 at the moment, so he's still got a long career ahead of him. It shows that there is, first of all, a lot more knowledge of where the market is at. There are players and teams who are in much better run areas and positions now where they can basically say, makes an offer, because we don't need to get rid of someone. But also, people are aware of how transfers and all these different elements work now. There are much better run infrastructures because of the infrastructure that has been shown not only in the Premier League, but in the Bundesliga and Liga, where people have basically learned to build models which extract the most value rather than are best for the players and the best for the playing staff. And there are some people who get the best out of both worlds. So PSG are obviously managing to do that with a coach like Luis Enrique. Liverpool are trying to do that with Areola, and then bringing someone like Barcola in. I guess what I'm saying is the transfer fees now are going up and up and up. I think we're going to see the £200 million player become not a relatively common thing, but I think we are going to see it become a much more kind of common figure to hear in the market. I think people are going to hear that because that's the value they're going to represent. You know, the teams are going to be worth billions. Liverpool were valued at what, £4.5 billion, $6 billion in this latest deal, which seems to be going through now to get the 30% of the club. Whether we're happy about that or not, I don't really know. The point being, Liverpool are in a position where we will pay these amounts of money because we want to go out there and win the Champions League. We want to go out there and win the Premier League. We want to go out there and challenge people rather than just being an also-ran. And Bradley Barcola is that statement. Spending £100 million on a player shows that last season, first of all, was not good enough, but also that we knew that that squad rebuild and the amount of expenditure also put extra pressure on us, and that we need to do more to complete that rebuild. You can't go half in on rebuilds where you're spending hundreds of millions on a couple of players and then, you know, just top up the squad with a couple of piano carriers. That's not the way that modern squads work. It's also showing that we know that being a present team for the full 90 minutes is exactly what we need to be. And the intensity there, I think a lot of people are underestimating Barcola's ability to win the ball back, to hold it up, to hook up with other people around him, to create space for the other players around him as well, but also to play as part of this 4-2-3-1 or 4-4-2, well, he would basically play through the middle, just off another striker, and whether that gives Florian Wirtz a bit more license to be able to roam and to be able to make space, that's where Liverpool see the value. We're not just spending 140 million on one player, we're spending 140 million, 100 million, whatever you want to call it. I think we'll see a middle ground where it's like 100 million plus add-ons, 105 million plus easy to achieve add-ons, so that will go out over the next couple of windows, again, spreading the cost over a couple of years. The point being, right, we are not spending 100 million just on Bradley Barcola. We're spending 100 million on getting the best out of Wirtz, getting the best out of Isak, relieving the pressure on Isak, relieving the pressure on our team where it's like, we don't have a Katike right now who's going to play backup or as a second player or as a starter alongside Isak.
Although, let's get more on our top story this morning. UEFA have issued a loss of confidence in Gianni Infantino as the fallout from the FIFA president's controversial plans to sell off a stake in the World Cup were spectacularly scrapped in the early hours of this morning. Let's bring you some of that statement now. UEFA welcomes FIFA's decision to withdraw its plan to sell a stake in its competitions, including the World Cup, into private hands. We cannot keep going on like this with secret schemes on fast-track timescales cooked up by faceless individuals and of dubious benefit to the game. The current FIFA leadership has not only lost UEFA's confidence, but also that of many other members of the football family. The shabby, backroom, opaque deal he hatched and tried to force through were anything but transparent. This is a victory for the whole game, but it must not be the end of the story. The proposal has gone. The task of rebuilding trust in FIFA has only just begun.
Liverpool are reportedly preparing a major move, one that would signal they're ready to spend at the top end of the market. The headline making the rounds is a £100 million bid for Bradley Barcola, a figure that immediately puts the story in the club-altering category rather than the sensible upgrade tier. And that's exactly why this rumor matters. Because when a club like Liverpool goes after a player with a price tag in that range, it's never just about adding one more body to the squad. It's about forcing a decision, on the selling club, on the player, and on Liverpool's rivals. Why Barcola, and why now? Barcola's profile, pace, directness, and the ability to stretch defenses, fits a kind of football that's increasingly valuable. Modern attackers don't just need to score, they need to create pressure. They need to turn defensive shapes into emergency situations. If Barcola is the target, Liverpool likely see a player who can do exactly that, carry the ball into space quickly, beat his marker, and turn chances into something more than routine. Timing also matters. In transfer windows, the strongest deals usually come from a mix of desire and opportunity. Liverpool wouldn't be pushing a number like £100 million unless they believed they had both. The player's interest or a pathway to persuade him, and a realistic chance to close quickly enough that the market doesn't fully inflate beyond reach. What does a £100 million offer actually communicate? The number itself is a message. Even if the rumor doesn't become a deal, the act of reaching for that valuation suggests Liverpool's hierarchy is willing to underwrite long-term ambition. A bid at that level usually implies Liverpool expect the player to be more than rotation. They see him as part of the team's core identity over the next few seasons. They're comfortable taking on the pressure that comes with high-profile signings. Fans will ask whether that's wise, especially with football finances tightening in many places. But from a recruitment perspective, a club that waits for perfect value sometimes misses the window where top talent is still attainable. Liverpool may be betting that the value is in the player's future output, goals, assists, progression play, and match-changing moments. Liverpool's squad needs a specific type of threat. Every top team eventually has to solve the same problem: how to regularly create advantage in wide areas and break teams that defend deep. Central play is essential, but defenses prepare for it. What frustrates them is repeated 1-versus-1 moments, early crosses, cutbacks, and runners who don't wait for the ball. They attack the space the moment it opens. That's why a bid like this tends to raise eyebrows. Liverpool aren't just chasing a nice winger. They're chasing a player who can consistently force defenders to react, not simply hold shape.